As some of you may know, Feral Interactive have recently been porting Rise of the Tomb Raider to Mac and Linux. Now, the Linux version isn't out just yet, but the Mac version is, so I figure why don't we take a look at the Mac version right now on Linux Lounge. I've got the game just downloaded here, sort of pulled down from Steam. It's been released like literally today as I'm recording this. But before we go ahead and launch the game, which by the way I've not done yet, so I don't even know if this works, I'm just going to give sort of a brief overview of the system specs. As you can see, sort of using a relatively high-end-ish NVIDIA card, sort of 16 gigs RAM i5 processor. So this game should, in theory, run pretty well. In fact, it does run very well on the Windows version, sort of ultra settings, between 30 and 60 FPS, so sort of, normal speed effectively. So I'm not sure how the Mac version will perform, but sort of, this here is a Hackintosh and sort of screen recording, so kind of take everything with a bit of a grain of salt. But with that being said, let's launch the game and see what happens. Well, it seems to be working pretty well. The usual sort of Feral start screen as you would expect, and kind of comes with any other Feral games. Sort of don't send that because I don't really care. Continue, okay. Sort of we're going to turn the resolution up all the way, and I would imagine the rest of the settings probably have to be changed sort of in game. So go ahead and launch the game up, and yeah, it seems to be taking a second to load, but while it does load, I just kind of want to talk about the technical details of this game. It uses the Metal API as opposed to Vulkan, which the Linux port will use, so in theory you should get pretty good performance because Metal is an acceptable graphics API, though admittedly it's not quite as good as, say, Vulkan or DirectX. Yeah, I shall soon probably try out the Linux version once that comes out. And immediately we would seem to have an issue. Though apparently drive activity is occurring, so maybe this screen just takes a while to load. And sure enough, that is exactly the problem. I don't really want to make Square Enix account, I'm not sure. And there you go. That's the game launched up. Sort of the Mac and Linux version, the sort of 20-year celebration version, will come with the season pass, so you get all the DLC. And what settings are we at here? Okay, fair enough. We don't do things the conventional way here. We're insane on this channel, so very high, and we'll see how that runs. And sure enough, it's actually incredibly smooth, and apparently my saves from the Windows version hasn't copied over, but it's fine. It's just kind of, I'm gonna have to start a new game then, since like I say it's not copied over. I'm not sure why the expedition mode would work, but sort of pick the difficulty, and why not? Let's go Survivor. And yeah, the cutscene seems to work, but we're not interested in that. And well, would you look at that? That looks absolutely astonishing. The performance seems incredibly smooth. In fact, to my eyes, this may even be possibly smoother than the Windows version, although it could be completely wrong. But yeah, this looks absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to see this on Linux because it should perform even better than this. But as it stands, this seems to be a really solid port. Well, I'm going to cut it out here and run some benchmarks and get back to you with the result. Alright, so I've kind of been messing around with this a bit. I bumped the settings up as high as they will go, and I must say, for regular gameplay, this actually feels a lot smoother than the Windows version, sort of as a whole. Now, I kind of wanted to get a bit technical, so I decided to run some benchmarks, which the game has a built-in benchmark tool, which is great. So I'll put the results up on screen now. and I must say this system can usually achieve about 30 FPS or so on Windows with the very highest settings. As you can see here, it's done a little bit better on the Mac side of things. So, well, I suppose the definitive way to play Rise of the Tomb Raider right now is on, well, the Mac, I suppose, or in this case a Hackintosh. So maybe you would get better performance on a real Mac, even better than this, so I don't know, but sort of can't wait to see when the Linux version comes out, because who knows how good the performance will be then. But all in all, this is an absolutely fantastic port of this game, and couldn't have wanted more out of it, to be honest with you. It's great to see Mac and Linux become more viable gaming platforms, and sort of a port this good may possibly even encourage other developers to come forward. I certainly hope so. But either way, if you haven't picked this game up yet, and we're looking at doing so because there's now a Mac and soon to be a Linux version, go for it. It's all round a good game. But with that being said, thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.